Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another part of my F1 Manager 22 career mode here with Alfa Romeo. This is for the Dutch GP at Zandvoort. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one at the Belgium Grand Prix, because that was the first ever race in this series so far that we've had to take grid penalties and try to manage our drivers from the back of the grid near enough towards, some points-making positions. It was a, frustrating first part of the race, with Gasly getting held up in a bit of traffic. We, I think, learnt a little bit potentially of maybe how we go about those kind of situations. Could have been better to maybe also stick Gasly on the same strategy Bottas was with, because maybe we wasted his medium compound tyre. And then also just maybe we could have done things a little bit differently in terms of maybe preparing ourselves for that grid drop. Could we have done grid penalties in different places? Because I saw a comment that a few of you guys were also saying that Spa was actually quite difficult for you guys to get your drivers to overtake people. So even though in real life it's actually quite an easy place to make passes, maybe on the game it's actually maybe one of the hardest circuits to take penalties at. I don't know. If you look at races that we just had previously, like France for example, maybe France is one we should be bookmarking as a race to take penalties at if we need to do so. But even so, to get to Belgium and that be our first penalty was pretty good. And to be fair, we only had to do that because of other previous issues with parts of our car. Like for the gearbox example, like 3 of Bottas's gearboxes have just been broken or damaged from previous incidents and crashes he had, not even wearing out or anything like that. So maybe something we could have looked at a little bit earlier. But now we do have a new engine, a fresh engine for both drivers. So now we can kind of play this more tactically by using some more worn out ones for practice sessions, and then keeping the fresh engine just for qualifying in the races. And also maybe we go to circuits where we know engine power is maybe not a massive factor. Maybe we install the more worn out parts, if it's, for example, Singapore, even though there's a compromise, if you do need straight line speed at Singapore, maybe we can afford to put in some of the worn parts and kind of extend the life that way. But also at the same time, in case of spare parts, and talking about spare parts, I'm going to go through now and just go and manufacture bits that we maybe need, because we now don't have 2 spare chassis, because I think one of them we had to use when Bottas broke it. I don't actually know that. I assume it got automatically installed when we broke that chassis for Bottas when we went on to the rest of the race weekend. So I'm going to make 1 more spare chassis, so we have 2 spares there for both drivers, in case, basically. So that'll cost us 75k, not too much actually for a normal production on that. And then other areas of the car, front wing we've only got 3, rear wing only 3, side pods we're actually fine on, underfloor we're fine on, suspension I've not actually even made anything of our new suspension, because I believe actually it only just got made now, which is there. New suspension's complete. So we're going to go ahead and actually make the new suspension for the first time, and then we'll wait for the once these are done, because I think you can only do a maximum of a certain number of them. So we'll go for a normal approach. Gets done in 5 days. I mean, is the next race in 5 days' time? The next race is, so actually I may want to actually rush that just to get some performance maybe on the car. If I rush it, it's going to take till 2nd of September. That's actually still not going to be in time, annoyingly, for this Dutch GP, because that'll be the Friday we actually fly out to the race. So actually there's no point rushing that. So we'll just go for normal then, and it will just have to be an upgrade that comes to our car in the next part, in the next episode for the next Grand Prix. So 200k to manufacture 4 of these, and then I believe that's the maximum we can do in terms of development, is it? Or can we actually, no, we can actually manufacture more. So let's go for the front wing, because that's always an iffy one. So we'll go for just 1 of those. That'll get done in 3 days time. 100k though, those are pretty costly parts, and now that's the maximum. So now we're going to go ahead and well, I would say research, but we're actually still waiting for the new ATR period, which is still some way away. It's in 7 days time, so 1 more episode, and then we can research some new things on our car for next season. Like I said in the last episode, no point doing it now, because we may as well wait till the ATR period is reset, so we can get some more CFD hours and wind tunnel time. But now we've got some development points for Bottas and Pierre Gasly, and I'm going to go for defending for both drivers, because that's been consistently something the reports have been saying we need to improve on. So I'm going to listen to the reports from the game itself, because you'd assume it's grounded in a bit of data that is actually going to be useful. And to be fair, there have been a few times where we've been stuck in this flow of overtaking, defending, and being overtaken, being overtaken. So maybe adding +1 on defending for both drivers will actually be somewhat useful. It's only +1 though, so it won't make a huge difference, but every little helps as it adds up. But you know, we're in a strong position championship wise. We did lose some points to Mercedes last time out. They scored 22 to our 8, so there was a bit of damage done, but of course we outscored them so much at Hungary that it's fine. We can afford to have one weekend like that if you account for the fact we had the grid penalty, so we can go back to fighting them, you know, fair and square from a good grid slot in this next one at the Dutch GP. And our new car part test center has been improved and fully refurbished then. So we go to our facilities. What was it? The operations facility, was it? Or no, even more so. A car part. There we go. Car part test center. It's now been refurbished and 100% effectiveness. Front wing spare is going to be made, and then we're going to get into then the next race weekend. Monthly report. Again, car braking seems to be something. So I think car braking is potentially the next one we look at in terms of we've improved the car in many areas apart from braking. And then just general, like, you know, that small part of the car. So I think we'll go with that because we are 15% on brake cooling. So that is actually quite low when you think about it in terms of 20-car grid. But the new suspension we're going to actually bring in, that's being manufactured as we speak, that should actually improve the braking. Because brake cooling will go up in value from that. So that will be something that will be boosted with that new suspension. New suspension is something we've not made since the very start of the series, since the game gave us an automatic upgrade on that. So with that, there's not much else to do apart from going into the race preparation then and looking ahead to Zandvoort, hoping to reach Q3 with both drivers. Fastest laps the goal, finishing position. Well, let's go for both in the top 9. Let's go for. I think I set it to a top 8 last episode, so I was feeling a bit daring there, but let's go with top 9 just so we can guarantee we can get through. Practice 1 then, it's said and done with Theo Porcher in for Bottas's car. We've got a few penalties for Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, and Alonso. So Hamilton's one there. It's quite a big one. That'll help us out in the fight versus Mercedes. But big chance then again for Sainz to do something when Leclerc and Verstappen are down the order. Verstappen really had to have this one be one where he can make up some points because he's third in the championship. But he's going to have another tough time, maybe like he had at the Belgium GP. Ricciardo also, and Vettel and Latifi. So fair few penalties here. So this definitely seems like the part of the season where the player and the AI are finding it a struggle to carry on with the engine components, and they're having to take a fair few penalties. I mean, to be fair, the AI have been doing it a bit more consistently over the course of the season, but definitely a fair few we're seeing here at Zandvoort. I don't know, maybe in the game this is a better one to do versus Spa, I don't know, but Porcher gets a 58 setup confidence versus Gasly's 46. So, you know what? Once this man is able to be elevated to the full driver role and he's higher rated and whatever, I'm really curious. Fridays will be a piece of piss for him because he actually just does so well on that initial setup window to get it up to like 50 or high 50 and then go from there. So I'm quite curious to see actually how quickly you get the setup confidence up with him in FP2 and FP3. But anyway, we moved on then with Bottas back in the car. Bit of rain potentially for this practice session and also on the Saturday, and then a dry race comes Sunday. But let's hope it's a smooth sailing Friday compared to the one we just had before where Bottas made a bit of a mess of it in FP2 and FP3. No actual rain on the forecast using our updated weather center, so it looks like maybe the rain potentially was actually back in that FP1 session. Maybe more to come in FP3 and for quali to change things up. Should be a pretty smooth session actually in terms of that. Just hope, like I said, it's a smooth run as we see Bottas going through a very steep banking here, modelled in the game. FP2 ends with Bottas in P8, Gasly P12, so a bit of work to do overall, but I mean, we only did times on hard tyres, whereas others did manage some runs on the medium. So taking it with a pinch of salt, and I think if last episode showed, the car still has some genuine good pace in there where we can actually get past cars and get the laps in. So hopefully a strong FP3 to get the setup confidence time and go into qualifying looking good to continue controlling this gap with Mercedes. Mick Schumacher with a big crash in FP3 brings out the virtual safety car in a practice session, just goes straight on it. Oh my god! That was a hefty hit. That was a massive one. Glad he's okay and all good, but my oh my, yeah, that is the right reaction, my person, my dude. That is the right reaction, my god. 96 setup confidence with Bottas, and with Gasly, we've already had and knew about what is going to be, well, if I can actually show you guys, can we please show it? 95 with Gasly, so very equalized and both very, very high. Now just about getting some track acclimatization, basically, and just trying to get through and get more familiar with the circuit in the last couple of laps, bring the fuel down maybe to see what they can really do with these, a bit worn soft tyres, but still what they can do with that. But I'm feeling good about this. We're top P5 and P6, exactly kind of where we want to be, ahead of the two Mercs. And obviously looking ahead of us and seeing if we can challenge Ferrari and Red Bull. But I would say, looking at the gaps, I think these two teams have brought upgrades and are finally maybe back to as they were at the start of the season, with a bit of a comfortable cushion ahead of us. And we're kind of a bit nearer to Mercedes, but I think we're looking good for quali. Right, Gasly's first lap time in Q1. Let's see how high up the order he can get. It's 9/10 off Verstappen's first time, 2/10 behind Alonso, so I feel like we might have to run that back again. The same can be said, though, of Lando Norris and the McLaren. Vettel 2.4 off. Bottas is held by a Haas, and you can literally see how slow he's going through there. So it's going to have to be 2 runs for both of them. I set Bottas out in clean air, and he somehow actually just caught up to a car, because he was nowhere near Schumacher. He was like he was in no man's land with, I think, with Vettel, who then peeled into the pits, and he's managed to catch Schumacher on his lap, and so he's gone 1 second slower than Gasly. As of late, the traffic has been a bit more of an annoyance for us in qualifying. So second runs will have to go again, but I'm sure we can get them done on the same set of tyres. Gasly 2 green, did have to overtake, I think Ocon it was, on his lap, but still hasn't hampered his progress on that second one. A narrow margin, though, of improvement, so not that much. Let's see what Bottas can do. This has to be a good one for Valtteri Bottas. 3 minutes to go. We've gone kind of early with our second runs. Gasly hardly really improved. Bottas is going to make a big improvement and jump up, but he actually gets to where Gasly is, and that's on his second run. So is that where the car is? And if so, well, Merc are looking pretty handy with Hamilton up there. Alonso as well, still P6 ahead of both of us. Maybe we have lost a bit of pace, and we just, it was masked a little bit by having to come back through with engine penalties to Belgium. I don't know, but we're going to leave it there. We should be safe into Q2. But a bit more time to find, I guess, in that second session, and then the top 10 shootout. There's a bit of rain coming. We're going to send them out straight away. We get a nice lap in early. We'll be fine. I'll put on a new combat. I'm going to wait, though, actually, just a bit to let track grow up a tiny bit, because sending them out straight away is always, you always go a bit slower. So we can time this right. How much time gets elapsed here if we just speed through? Okay, now if I send them out, by the time they get round, they'll be setting their lap. So send them both. Oh, I should have waited a little bit. I'm going to send them out together. Hopefully they get a bit of a gap to each other. Right, Gasly coming through, not being held up by Bottas. Bottas actually maybe will get a bit of a tow, honestly, from Gasly. So let's see what these lap times are like. Gasly up there, Bottas up there. 1/10 off Alonso, though, but we're ahead of a Ferrari right now. That's a bit worrying for Sainz with rain on the way, actually. So again, in a weekend where Sainz should be making the most of this with Leclerc and Verstappen with penalties, will he come under fire and under pressure with that lap time? I mean, Schumacher does an even worse one, so to be fair, that might just be good enough. It's a good time by Guan Yu Zhou, to be fair, to be P4 there. But everyone else, I mean, Verstappen stayed in. Who else is in the pits still? Hamilton's only just coming out now. Russell's out there. Ocon stayed in. Ricciardo stayed in. Magnussen, Perez and Verstappen. It's a howler from Red Bull because the rain is coming. It is on the way, literally, in a moment's time. Millimeters of rain starting to fall, and the Red Bull cars, they're not even out yet. What is going on? Christian Horner and his pit crew and his engineers, Red Bull have been so great at managing their team in real life. This is a managing blunder by them as the rain comes down. Oh, it's a howler. It's an absolute howler. They're out on intermediates. Oh, we're at Max's home race. This is, wow, they've shot themselves in the foot. They really have. I mean, because there's so many people that haven't come out, I don't know. Verstappen can go any quicker than Hamilton just did on, Hamilton just at a dry time on an intermediate circuit. So if Verstappen can just do any better than him, he might still be able to scrape through into the top 10 because everyone else here is going to be slow as well. But what on earth has gone on there? Verstappen and Perez actually go quick enough. They were so slow. There was some people slow enough on the dry tyres on the wet circuit that both Red Bulls, ironically, somehow, might actually still get through here in the top 10. Or Perez will, Verstappen will. Perez knocked out on the count of Magnussen thing that flew through. And now they're all going out, I assume on Inters, and they're just not going to go any quicker. We know that from Austria. Too well from Austria. So we can sit back and relax. We've done a good job, P3 and 4. And it may be Perez, Russell, Hamilton, Ricciardo out. It might be a massive win for us versus Mercedes. Checkered flag falls. Let's see. Hamilton. Oh, Hamilton gets through. Russell does as well. Where's Verstappen, though? Can he get back into the top 10? Yes, he can. And Perez does. And both the Red Bulls actually get through and survive somehow and do us a favour by pushing Hamilton and Russell out of the top 10. Hamilton P11 with a good penalty as well, so he'll be even further back. That is a massive win for us. Alonso and Leclerc with penalties. We could actually, with the people left in the session, apart from Sainz there, we actually have a very good chance of being very high up on this grid. Right, sending Bottas out. Bit of a gap then. And then I will send out Gasly. Rain is on the way again, as you can see. So I'm getting them out early to get that lap in dry conditions. I'm going to send Gasly out now. No one else is out with us, I don't think. So we will have the track to ourselves initially. And that'll be a big mistake for them. Unless we get held up in traffic. I really hope there's not a car that's about to catch them as they go into turn 1. Please say no. Right, Bottas starting his lap. Oh, Perez. No, Perez, where are you? Oh, no. Perez! Perez, you better get out the way, man. You better get out the way of the flying Finn. Get out of the way, man. Go to the left. Go to the left. Thank you. Thank you. Gasly enters turn 1. Is anyone near him? No. He's got a completely clean track. It's go, go, go. This could be another Austria. This could genuinely be another Austria. If you couple it with the penalties people have. Bottas round the banking for what potentially might be a front row lap time. You never know. It's going to be, what, a 1:10 dead near enough. Gasly through the final corner and banking. 2 greens for him, so he's going slower than Bottas, that means. So it's going to be slower and at least P2 then, as we're the only 2 to set a lap time. But if the rain is coming, you know, this could be it. This could be it for all. Actually pretty damn close. Purple, our sector. So Gasly went quicker at the end there. So that's actually quite equalised. But let's see who's out on track. So to be fair, there are a few guys out on track. Sainz, Perez being 2 big names out. Norris and then Alonso as well. And the rain is going to be on the way now as pretty much they start their flying laps. Perez has gone quicker. Alonso's gone better. What? Perez and Alonso both beat us, even with the rain falling. That's a bit mad. Leclerc stayed in. Norris out there on the dry tyre. Joe, Sainz as well. He's finishing his lap. Surely he can't set a good lap time here. But Perez and Alonso, I don't know how they've done that. That's mad, because the rain was like 0.2 millimeters when they were finishing their last sector, and they still beaten us. That's a little bit annoying, actually. So that will deny us the front row then. Unless, I think Alonso. Did Alonso have penalty? I think Alonso did. Perez may have not. So Perez actually might be the one on pole, because Sainz, 3.8 seconds off. And the rain's not going to let up. So Perez actually might be on for pole here. The track's now fully wet. This is how it's going to end. This is how it's going to end. It's going to be a second row for us. Second row lockout, third and fourth with VB and PG, because they're not setting quicker times. They're just kidding themselves. You're going out for nothing. So that's how it's going to end. Perez will get pole position for this Dutch GP. Alonso with a penalty, which means Bottas will be on the front row in second place. Gasly P3 with a good chance, but he's alongside Carlos Sainz now in the second row, so he will equally have a good chance. But these two, they'll be pushed down the order, so it'll really just be Sainz and Perez who are racing, the 2 people who are battling so hard for P1 and 2 at Belgium. In terms of weather for the race, though, there is no rain on the way, so it's going to be a pretty standard, I would say, 1 stop here. I think most people will go for the 1 stop. I don't really see them going for a 2 like we've had maybe in previous racing. To be fair, we don't need them to, because now on pure pace we know we have the tools to maybe attack a little bit, and at the start we can maybe jump Perez with Bottas and Gasly can stay ahead of Sainz. maybe there's something we can do today in today's race with Verstappen and Leclerc push down the order, and it's going to be a big chance just to score a load of points on Mercedes with them being down the order, but we'll go for the medium to hard strategy. No use using the soft compound, as we know, pre the patch coming in and having kind of any usefulness of that tyre difference. I'm going to go 1 lap less of fuel to also just make the car a little bit lighter at the start and full out attack for our guys.
It's bright and sunny as the drivers line up on the grid. And there's Valtteri Bottas. A second place start for them today. They're in with a real chance. Next for the team, it's Pierre Gasly. They're up in 3rd position, tantalisingly close to pole. And we're just moments away now. The drivers are ready, and the crowds are waiting. It's the Dutch Grand Prix. And it's lights out.
And we are on the way. Let's see what Bottas can do off the line, running on board Gasly to get a better view of turn 1. Sainz gets Gasly on the inside, but he's coming back at him round the outside of turn 1. Bottas unable to do anything on Perez. Perez with a very good getaway from pole position. Fair play to him, and Sainz has given us a real fight as we go through the carousel. But Bottas on the exit of the carousel has a good run on Perez now, side by side, and he may just get him. We run on board Perez to see where Bottas is. Very hard to tell from this view, so let's cut back to this racing view. Gasly maintains P3 ahead of Sainz, having been attacked by the Ferrari man, and now both of them, nose to tail, still eager to try and get Sergio Perez. And Bottas may just do this. Can he go for a lunge? Well, didn't get the best exit though. Didn't get the best exit. Now Gasly's on the back of him as they enter that chicane into the final stadium section. Right, let's just hope we can stick with Perez here, and Sainz won't pester Gasly too much behind, and we can stick like this. Alonso P5, where's Verstappen? Verstappen P8, Leclerc P10. So they've got some work to do. Sainz is catching us though, and may make a move on the outside. Gasly's gone defensive. Sainz has set the fastest up the Grand Prix, despite being in P4, showing the pace he's showing. But we do stand strong and retain P3 for now. But this carousel is a bit worrying because they're carrying quite a lot of speed through there. Right, DRS enabled now on lap 3 onto 4. Still in this train with Sergio Perez sticking with him and hoping the DRS can pull us in a little bit, and the DRS of Bottas can help Gasly just stay ahead of Sainz. But that Ferrari's been lurking and doing this. Gasly has to go defensive every single lap into turn 1, and Sainz just keeps on having a look. But we've actually hit the fast lap now with Gasly, and we both closed in now from 7/10 to half a second. So now with DRS available, could we start to have a look at Perez? I feel like Bottas needs a bit more urgency here. Let's go attack now. We've had attack with Gasly just to keep ahead of Sainz. We now need a bit of attack from VB to try and get Perez, because otherwise he's holding up Gasly a little bit and falling vulnerable to the Ferrari. Right, Bottas here, lap 4 onto 5 now. Finally might have a go at Perez for P1. Gasly, where is Sainz? Right up our gearbox, but won't make a move. Perez gets squeezed, and there's going to be a fight though on the exit, but Bottas keeps P1 with the fastest lap. Now it's time to enter Gasly. Now it's his turn. He needs to catch up to Perez on this next part of the lap. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and wait for the second half of the lap to deploy, because that's where we'll catch Perez a bit, and hopefully Bottas can keep him at bay. I'm going to have to use defensive ERS, I think, with Bottas. Right now I'll go harvest and look behind me. Hopefully we can stay ahead. Oh, it'll be close. DRS is available on this little straight, but won't be enough to overtake us, so that's fine. So then we go through this section, and then we'll wait for it, and then go defensive ERS, and hopefully that'll keep us ahead of Perez. I hope. Let's see. Turn 1. Keeps us ahead. Gasly gains, but just doesn't gain enough to make a move. Gonna have to go again on the next lap. Right, Perez goes for a move at the chicane. We've not been defending with the ERS here, just on neutral. And actually, that is the right thing to do, because Bottas has stayed ahead. And now we have some ERS to work with, potentially, as we're going to go overtake mode for Gasly. Oh, Perez, though, with a good move on the inside of the banking. Oh, no. Attack mode for overtake mode for Bottas as well. ERS is now empty. And where's Sainz? Sainz goes through for the double move. No, we've had our pants pulled down. Oh, that's a nightmare. Managerial-wise, that is a nightmare. Now our drivers are fighting on the exit. Sainz got both of us. Oh, I was so fixated on Perez that we just lost the ERS. I don't know, they really didn't save a lot of ERS. Even with neutral, they weren't saving much ERS. And Sainz got us. Okay, that's a headache now because he's ahead and they're going to pull ahead unless we can stick with them. Right, sit rep on lap 11. Perez leads the way still ahead of Sainz after initially sticking in DRS with Bottas still getting the fastest lap at the moment. We have now lost DRS range. Gasly's now in DRS range of Bottas. Oh, Gasly now has got Verstappen for company. The pace is too much, it would seem. It really seems like Red Bull and Ferrari have brought more upgrades, and the fighting with them as much as we did in previous races is now just not realistic. We're just looking to try and stay ahead as much as we can. And Verstappen has got Gasly in the second DRS zone, just off that corner. Overwhelming drive to power past us. And also, ERS usage has been a lot harder this race. They've not been harvesting as much when I go harvest mode. And we're having to keep in harvest for longer. And that's not helping our pace, of course, because on harvest you just don't go as fast. And that's allowed these guys to catch up. And now Gasly's got Leclerc for company right behind in neutral now, hoping we can stick with Verstappen with DRS and maybe he can pull us along, I'm hoping. Verstappen now past Valtteri Bottas. It seems like this was inevitable. The home favourite powering through and looking to still maybe go for the race win. He could definitely catch the top two, I think, because there's only 3-4 seconds between them, 3.6 seconds between them. So I reckon Verstappen could actually chase after Perez and Sainz because they're battling, they're swapping positions left, right and centre. Now it's a case of, can we do anything to stick with Verstappen? I mean, Gasly did. Gasly was sticking with sticking with him. He just then saw him overtake Bottas. So if we can just stick with the Red Bull, maybe he can pull us towards the leaders and keep us away from this Ferrari behind of Leclerc. The only thing is we're having to go max out attack on the tyres to do so, and that's really taking a toll on the tyre wear. As you can see, 68% to their 74%. Leclerc's just taken Gasly. We're doing so well to stick with them for so long. Bottas, he wasn't even having a go at Verstappen. Leclerc gets it down the inside eventually. And we're not really even actually as a pack gaining. Verstappen's not even gaining 3.7. This race in the top 4 is slipping away from us, because Bottas may be pushed down to P5 soon enough. And we've done really well, though, to be fair, to be ahead of Alonso. I mean, the gap from Alonso to us is mad. So we've done well to actually still use these guys to pull us away from this whole arrangement. You know, the Mercedes guys down here in P10 and 11. But frustration in terms of, you know, getting used to maybe. We kind of got used to a bit too comfortable fighting with these guys. And now it looks like they've got a bit too much pace for us these days. At Zandvoort onwards, well, from Belgium onwards, because they were showing some great pace at Belgium. And there goes Leclerc now, and we don't even have ERS to defend with. We don't have ERS to defend with, and Leclerc might go around the outside. This might be due to be fair, it might be due to, because we replaced the gearbox and engine, but maybe this is our ERS, the worn-out ERS components. Maybe that they're not allowing us to store and harvest enough energy on the neutral setting to kind of keep in play and maybe defend and whatever. I don't know. I mean, Bottas is sticking with Verstappen. I'm hoping Gasly can as well, but I don't want to overdo their tyres. And, you know, at the moment I am wearing Bottas's tyres a lot just to keep up with Verstappen. Leclerc's now going to get us. Verstappen's pulled away due to some lapped cars in our way. And this may be it. Look at the tiny amount of ERS he's saving. Even on neutral, it's ridiculous. Harvesting through here. Neutral for the rest to stay ahead. It's just so difficult. If I go harvest the rest of this lap, he's going to get jumped. And he's also really not great on fuel. Leclerc's trying it on the outside. Leclerc's trying it on the outside. This could be a mega overtake for Leclerc. Round the outside of such an unorthodox corner. He keeps going. He keeps going. Will he make the move? I think he might do. VB on harvest mode. Now can we go overtake mode to maybe re-overtake him on this little straight? No, DRS gets it. Ah, God, this is pain. This is pain. We can't do anything. We're in no man's land. We are in no man's land. We can't do much. We can't do much here. Apart from maybe go to the hard tire earlier. I don't know. But no, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Gasly's now overtaking Bottas. They might swap left, right and centre. That's not going to help us. I really hope they don't fight too much here. But they're both on attack mode. And they've both got DRS on one another. So they're just going for it. And I guess it's really the only fight they're in, to be honest, at the moment. Because Leclerc's walked away now. 1.3 ahead of us. 2.5 is Verstappen, who is now looking to close down his teammate. 1.7. Sainz started on the soft compound, so he's the odd one out who's pit a lot earlier. So don't really know where he's going to filter into this. I imagine we'll still be in the fight for first, but this is now the battle we're in. We're in an inter-team battle between our two drivers because we've got Alonso and the rest of them covered. Right, pitting Gasly on this lap. We've got him on deploy to have a really, really good in-lap. And Bottas right now is harvesting. I'll put him up to neutral, and on the next lap he's going to go deploy once we get Pierre in, because obviously don't want to go for the double stack, and this is pretty much the right opportune window for our pit stop. So Gasly will be in, and now VB behind can go for deploy and pushing, and you can come in on the very next lap as we cross the line. And now we'll pit this lap. Hard tyres come in. Let's see what Gasly can do. Pit stop onto the hards. We've been trying to train up the pit crew for the tyre changes. That did seem a little bit quicker, I feel, compared to previous races. Where is Gasly going to filter out, though? It's going to be behind Leclerc, of course, but is it in traffic? He gets ahead of Ocon and Alonso behind a lapped car of an Aston Martin. That's fine. Bottas is in now on this lap. So Gasly lost a bit of time in general in that first stint, then overall to Leclerc. 4.7 now, compared to, what was it, like 2.7? 2.7 to Bottas. So unless Bottas will slip in that gap, kind of lost a bit of pace. Ferrari and Red Bull just too much for us today. But annoyingly, we just have too much for Alpine. So it's kind of maybe going to be this all the way to the end then. Right, sit rep for you in this race then. Lap 38, Carlos Sainz leads the way. Verstappen, though, the home favourite, behind in second in this fight for the race win, despite having the grid penalty, getting very close there. Perez 4.6 back then and being caught by Leclerc, so that may be another battle in itself. Gasly and Bottas pretty much glued together nose to tail, but 16.3 seconds ahead of this man, Fernando Alonso. Head of Hamilton, Ocon, Russell, checkerboard of Alpine and Mercedes, our two rivals in the championship. Mercedes more so, and we will be outscoring them at this rate because they've just got not got enough pace to catch up through. They've been stuck in a lot of traffic and been generally just doesn't look like they're going to steamroll past the Alpine cars. I mean, Ocon's actually close to maybe a battling Hamilton, so Alonso's actually quite comfy, and Russell's still got some time to find to even catch up to Ocon. And then below, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Joe, two Haas cars, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, then checkerboard of Aston Martin and Williams. Verstappen with another purple, looking to just keep the pressure on, as Leclerc also gains on Perez. Gas is caught back up to Bottas now. Had to save fuel with Bottas after he burned a bit trying to catch up to the top four pack, but was no use. We just don't have enough raw pace to do that when we're not with them in the DRS straight. Now these two are close together. I'm going to let them race, but hopefully they don't do anything weird or lose too much time with each other. The gap is still a very healthy 16.7 to Fernando Alonso, who now does have Hamilton for company. He's got Ocon, he's shaken him off. Ocon now might have Russell catching him, but that remains the remainder of the top 10. And in the lead, well, we missed it, but Verstappen has overtaken Sainz for the lead, but these two have been actually, I've just been seeing this go up and down as they've been swapping, so much so that maybe now Leclerc has a chance. So they carry on fighting. Leclerc is now past Perez. If he gets past these lapped cars in good time, there's still enough of time in this Grand Prix for Leclerc to maybe go chasing after them, maybe. As Sainz sets another fast lap of the Grand Prix, as they swap purples as well. And I think it's going to be only a matter of time before we maybe see him ahead of Verstappen again. And this may be it. Sainz round the outside. Verstappen goes defensive. Stays put, actually. Verstappen's doing a good job of actually defending this so far. Perez ran wide there, so he's lost even more time now to Leclerc. 5 seconds, but not enough for us to be kind of licking our lips or anything like that. Gasly back ahead of Bottas. And we'll just remain like this now, I think. Both of them can just go standard. I mean, let's go both aggressive. There's no point in pushing on fuel or anything like that, really. We'll just stay stationary. And like I said, just hope for something to happen. Oh, Perez has spun it! Perez spun it, turn 1. Oh, please say this was a big spin. Oh, he's backwards in the gravel. Surely he's stationary right now. And so slow. Where are we? We're through here at the banking. Where is Perez? Oh, he's got going again. Really? He span and got going. Vettel's ran wide. All of that false hope for nothing. Vettel runs very wide and nearly hits the top of the carousel. But I was hoping we'd gain one free position there, but no. And meanwhile, Bottas and Gasly have swapped positions. and they're fighting and swapping left, right. Well, boys, you can carry on doing this, but just please don't crash into each other. They get very close. Oh, God. Oh, God. Guys, let's please not maybe too much of this, because now Hamilton is past Alonso. Will Alonso come back at Hamilton? This is quite a juicy fight. Alonso versus Hamilton. Hamilton does stay ahead. Alonso has a look around the outside, but no. Hamilton in clean air. 17 seconds, though. Don't think they'll be worrying us. As Sainz now overtakes Verstappen in the stadium section to get ahead for the lead. Just before the banking, will Verstappen have an answer for that? Coming back at him. Surely he's going to get him back here as they enter lap 57. Sainz trying to work as hard as he can to ruin this great comeback drive for Verstappen to win his home race. Verstappen back into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix, but Sainz gives it a real good fight. There's traffic up ahead as well. Verstappen, I think, will get ahead. Yes, he will, to get back into the lead, but there's still a fair few laps to go. Meanwhile, for our fight, yeah, Bottas is still ahead. Gasly, though, still very much trying to overtake him as the two don't lose time to Hamilton, though. That's the important thing. And Hamilton actually gets overtaken by Fernando Alonso. Go on, Nando. Go on, helping us out. Obviously, Alpine taking away some points from Mercedes. Good overtake by Fernando Alonso there into the last sector. Magnussen's crashed somewhere on the circuit. Yellow flags, but there's no virtual or full safety car, so won't be the altercation we needed. I mean, to be fair, that is pretty dangerous. That, I would say that would be safety car in real life, because that's such an awkward place to get them past. Right, the last lap of the GP for Max Verstappen, who leads the way by 5.4 seconds, because Carlos Sainz is down in third now. And I don't actually know what happened. I think he just fell away with man tyre wear, 34%, because remember, he went from softs to hard, so there was no replay or anything about that overtake. Of course, it didn't involve us, but I think he just fell away with his hards being in a worse state than Leclerc. So Leclerc got back to P2, so much for Sainz making the most of this situation. And Verstappen is going to come through this last sector to win his home GP, recovering well from the grid penalties. Leclerc recovers well from the grid penalties to be in P2 to limit the damage. This will be the last lap now. And this is the last lap now for Bottas and Pierre Gasly, both pushing hard. Bottas actually got some fuel to play around with. Gasly not so much, with both of them on deploy, trying to see if we can maybe nick the fast lap of the GP, potentially. Don't think so, though, because I think Leclerc must have had so much better pace, but we'll see at the end here. Bottas through. It's a green and a yellow. Don't think it's going to be the fast lap of the GP, as we're going to come through. And it's going to be P5 on the road. No fastest lap, unfortunately. Just a solid points finish for both our drivers, Gasly and Bottas. Gasly rolls to a halt across the line because he runs out of fuel literally after the finish line just over there. So pretty much managed that fuel to perfection. But, yeah, Zandvoort, bit lackluster in real life and a lackluster one here. We were, like Fernando Alonso described Alpine in real life, we didn't have enough pace to attack the top guys, but we had too much pace to be bothered by Mercedes or Alpine all race long. Definitely looking to see what we can improve. More upgrades maybe we want. I mean, we have slowed down the upgrades, I guess, because we did that research, but also the new ATR period, once that comes in literally, you know, what was it, 5-7 days time, we'll be able to research a bit more. Obviously, we have the new suspension on the way, so that could be a big improvement, but just did not have enough pace this time around to hang it with the big boys. But it's still, you know, even though I'm left a bit disappointed that we couldn't hang it with Red Bull and Ferrari, still a good race weekend. 18 points gained versus Mercedes 7 and Alpine 6. So, all in all, can't actually complain because we gained more points on our rivals for P3 in the championship. Verstappen now up into P2 in the drivers, but there's a gap, a considerable gap to Leclerc. He's got a good cushion to work with as we enter the last third of the season. But that's going to be it then to round up this one. If you guys did enjoy it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.